Ticket. Still the #1 rated all sports station in the DF Dub. That's on AM, FM, or anywhere else. All the time. Sports Radio 1310 and 96.7 FM, The Ticket.
Weekend Hockey Stick coming up here at 9:35. Right now, let's get ready for Gordo's Corner. That's brought to us by Lunazul Tequila and Baker Brothers Plumbing and Air.
You and I got to laughing about this, and I'm not sure why. Probably because we get loop head on some things.
Yeah, I think you started saying it. Maybe because I mentioned Texas Tech, maybe?
Yeah, and I started saying, "Go Raiders! Pavement ticket, do whatever I want." Okay, so this happened 15 years ago?
Early aughts, I think, yeah. Yeah.
And it was at a Tech game, and somebody was trying to interview
an Oklahoma player
in the tunnel. But there was
after the game,
and there were a few Tech fans that were leaning over, yelling down into the tunnel, and of course the microphones picked it up during the interview, and it's the most obnoxious person in the entire world. At that very moment, that was the most obnoxious person on this planet. And it was a drunk dude who just kept yelling, "Go Raiders," and interrupting the Oklahoma player's interview with the reporter. And didn't we hear from that guy at some point? Did we ever track that person down?
I think we did. And I can't remember what he said. That
for some reason I tied in with bad radio. Did they
maybe
talk
they
to
had
the person?
Him on, maybe, yeah.
All right. So
they were obsessed with it there for a while, too. That they played it just about every day. And
what's so obnoxious is the pavement ticket, say whatever I want. It's so obnoxious. All right, let's listen to the audio.
You know, I hadn't said anything to the guy, but you know that's part of football. You know, people make bonehead plays. You know, I'm sure I've made plenty of them, and you know.
Go Raiders! If this isn't the most disappointing loss, is it maybe the strangest feeling you've ever had after a
definitely,
loss?
Definitely, it's definitely a weird feeling. You know, it just it's just one of those games. Just one of those games where it's one of those games where, you know, stuff happens like that, and, you know, it's disappointing, but we can't really talk to the camera because there's the...
But we won anyway! Go Raiders! Shut up!
Our starting
12 refs tried to rip us off.
Our starting center.
Anyway.
Our starting center.
God damn.
About how the offense came to life there.
Yeah, especially when, you know, our starting center John Cooper goes out again, and here Chris Bush gets back in the game at center. He's got a broken hand, snapping all game long. So I was proud of the guys that they hung in there and fought to the end, and you know, the way Rhett, our quarterback Rhett, the way he hung in there, positioned to win the game at the end. When you
Genius. He's so genius.
He is not that genius. He's drunk and just saying, "Go Raiders."
12 refs tried to rip us off,
but we won anyway.
Go Raiders! Shut up!
Finally, one of the reporters had enough.
Shut up! Pay for my ticket and say whatever I want.
Shut up!
Genius. So you love that guy. You love anyone who is just wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
Creating chaos.
Chaos breaks out, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Hi, Kay.
Yeah. What are y'all doing?
No, you don't have much, do you?
Oh, Kay had a problem there.
Pretty good little day.
Oh!
Pretty good little day.
Stop.
Pretty good little day.
Stop.
Well, we got on that loop.
Yeah, we did.
About 30 minutes ago.
We don't need to tell people what happens during break. Yeah. We get loop head.
Oh.
Okay, Tom sends us a very important email.
All right, Tom.
Tom in Fairview emails to Gordo. Took the family to the zoo yesterday and paused at the spot where red lasers focused shakily on the chest of Jabari before things went slow motion. 3/18/04. Never forget. Today.
They don't have a spot marked at the zoo.
Today is
this is it?
Anniversary of the death of Jabari, according to Tom. I've not fact-checked him, but
okay.
I mean, it's printed out here, so I mean, it must be real. So that was, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
15 years ago today.
But they don't have a spot
Jabari
marked out there at the zoo. That X like
got
they
it
do.
through his head that we didn't want him here anymore. No, they don't have it marked out, but I know where it was because I had a secret zoo employee show me
tell you where he got
the place of power. No, actually, I think I saw the place where he made the leap of life, the leap of freedom that he made when he jumped in slow motion. It made this sound when he jumped. Slow motion.
I'm trying.
There it is.
There it is, Jabari.
How far was that jump? Do you remember? Like 20 feet?
Yeah, they say it was an impossible distance for a normal gorilla.
Seem impossible.
But they found out that Jabari had scored some meth earlier that day, and it was tainted with angel dust, and that gave him super gorilla strength.
Man, that must have been traumatic for people who witnessed
Traumatic
that.
or dramatic?
Well, traumatic for that poor family that he attacked a kid, right?
Yeah, he attacked like a 3-year-old. And that 3-year-old is now 18 and legal to come on the air with us without their parents' permission. So we invite that.
Talk about that
18-year-old, 3-year-old.
Can you remember things when you were 3?
Huh?
Can you remember things that happened to you when you were 3?
Yes. My earliest memory was
about
around
where my
that
memory
age.
started, yeah.
Correct.
About 3 years old.
What is your very first memory? Have you ever figured it out?
Yes.
What is it?
Moving from wee. No, the day we moved from San Antonio to Minneapolis. I remember that day because I was worried about our boat. It had been filled with all sorts of furniture, and I thought it was overloaded.
So your first memory is an overloaded boat.
Yes.
Your first memory is a traumatic memory.
Yes, I remember the move. I remember I was worried about the boat when we went through Kansas City and we were going through a heavy rainstorm, and that's my first memory.
Is being worried about a boat.
Old Blue, not just any boat. The great Old Blue.
That's that stupid boat.
Still with us today.
Nothing but a money pit for you.
Don't call it a stupid boat.
Well, it's. I'm tired of it draining your kids' college savings.
2 of my kids are out of college, and it's fine.
Because of Old Blue.
I haven't spent that much money on it.
The third one won't graduate because of Old Blue.
No, that's not true. That's not true. What about you? What's your first memory?
My first memory is catching fireflies in a mason jar when I was 3.
In Mississippi?
No, this was in San Marcos, when I lived in San Marcos.
Sucking on chili dog.
And I still remember where I was off the edge of the driveway. And I remember where I was looking, and it was dusk, and I could see the fireflies out there, and I had my mason jar, and I was determined to catch them.
What a spare memory.
I know, it is spare. It's not as cool as
I'm just teasing.
your boats and hose memory.
That's a very sweet memory.
Thank you. Well, back to this kid's first memory, which was being held upside down by a gorilla. Right before the gorilla cap took a fusillade of 30-06 shots right in the ticker.
How many times did they shoot him? Do you remember?
The 3-year-old?
No, the gorilla.
Jabari?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, we've never found out the true story.
I thought we talked
really
to
happened.
a cop one day who was on the beat and got
that put a bullet in Jabari.
A slug in Jabari.
Was he just shot by one cop?
No,
or was it
no. I thought like 3 unloaded on him.
Huh. I didn't hear that.
Don't you remember all the animals protested the next day?
No, you're an idiot. Was it true, or was it my invention about Jabari hiding inside that closet and you could just see the crease of daylight cutting across his face and down his chest as he's looking out there looking for the cops, and then there's a red dot that starts circling his eye and ends up right on top of his forehead. And
I think that
the last thing the camera sees is his eyes rolling up, looking at the red dot. And once again,
3-year-old was injured and the gorilla was killed.
Our prayers are with that 18-year-old, 3-year-old.
So today, 15 years ago today.
15 years ago today.
Jabari got it.
Jabari got justice. 15 years ago today.
You got the attitude, dog.
His reign of terror ended.
Finally came to an end.
He didn't even escape the zoo, though.
No.
He didn't have a good plan. Did you hear where they caught up with him? He was about halfway back in line at the corn dog stand.
He'd been smelling those things for years and just thought, man,
tempted for years.
What the hell or high water, I'm going to get me a corn
He
dog.
was polite.
But he waited in line.
Problem was he was polite.
He could have just thrown people out of his way and just
grabbed
ripped
one
them.
and ran, but he was waiting in line.
Come on, hurry up.
Please, come on. He's got
a 5 in his hand.
Got a 5, yeah. And it was
That
one
was
that he
the
had
day.
made out
Finally
of
gonna
a
get a
sheet of
corn dog.
paper. He had he had thumb smudged some a 5 on there to try to make it look like a Lincoln.
5 was backwards.
Backwards on there.
Real cheap kind of Lincoln.
Had a picture of Harambe there instead of Lincoln.
The top hat.
Gorilla Lincoln. It was a gorilla
he
that had
was
a beard.
sweating, too, because he was really worried he wasn't going to be able to pass it off. The corn dog vendor.
That's how they knew it was counterfeit. He put a hat on Lincoln.
That was suspicious.
Man, I was sworn he had a hat.
Yeah, Lincoln was wearing glasses and smoking a Groucho cigar. All right, anyway.
So that's why they shot him for counterfeiting.
Yeah, that was the crime they actually convicted him of.
How are we get a corn dog?
How are we still doing this?
That just seems
years?
plausible to me, though, that he'd smell those corn dogs year after day, year after year.
Oh,
finally had enough.
All the other gorillas were just tired of hearing about it, about how one day he was gonna.
Fine, go get it.
Yeah, Jabari. One day you're gonna
corn
jump
dog
over the
with
wall.
mustard. Okay,
yeah, we've heard this before.
You could eat 8 of them.
And
okay,
finally, he
fine.
did it.
So it was a corn dog challenge that finally cost him his life.
The corn dog leap. That's what he took that day.
But at least he was polite.
Yes. That's probably, the kid was probably in line ahead of him.
That's right.
He was getting annoyed.
The kid cut. Ain't no cuts.
Hey, what are you doing? I've been in this line for 10 minutes, and I'm under some pressure here. So you can hear the SWAT teams loading up. Come on. Let's go.
Get some.
They didn't kill him by helicopter. All right. On to something that's worse than I thought.
If
Giorgio.
indeed there is something worse.
You saw who ended up killing that mob boss up there in New York, didn't you?
No, who did it?
Okay, so this guy was the head of the Gambino crime family, and they have not had a hit on a mob boss in 30 years. Or over 30 years. What's 85? Is that
Pretty clean
34
record.
years?
That's 34 years.
Yeah, and so this Frank Cali, not Frank Caliendo, but Frank Cali, was killed out in front of his house. He was shot 6 times and run over with a pickup truck. In front of his house, which they say is a real breach of etiquette. You don't kill a man in his own
in front
home.
of his kids.
That's right. That's the part that always made me nervous about the mob. The weird
code.
Yeah, the weird gerrymandering of morality they have. Yeah, so everybody's worried that this is going to start a big, mob family war up there. Because they've had so many years of peace between the families.
Was it someone in his own family?
Well, they've arrested a 24-year-old man who lives with his parents. And the theory is that this guy was not, it had nothing to do with the mob. It had to do with the fact that Frank Cali had forbidden this guy from dating his niece. And this guy was pissed at Frank Cali for saying that he couldn't date Frank Cali's niece.
Wow.
And so he went and confronted him and ended up killing him. Now, this is where I think...
This guy's got to be fearful for his life.
Oh, yeah. This is the part that scares me. First of all,
make it to trial, is he?
If this guy does make it to trial and he gets put in prison, he'll get it in prison, too.
Yeah.
But what scares me, Giorgio, is not necessarily this dude will die, because he is a murderer. Okay.
His family?
Which, by the way, it is life and sacred, even though he's a murderer. But I'm telling you, I think his family's going to get killed. I think his parents
No.
I think he signed his parents' death certificate, death warrant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, death warrant.
You've been watching too many movies.
Nuh-uh. I've been watching all Disney movies, and I got this from those.
Gus.
By the way, I watched Benji.
Was there a
You
mafia
remember that
Gus
movie,
the Kicking
Benji?
Mule? Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, from the early 70s.
Yeah.
I rewatched that this weekend.
Any good?
Spare movie. And I remember as a kid, I liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
There's several things really wrong with this movie. First of all, no one knew how to act until probably about the late 80s. I don't know when people started learning how to act, but it obviously wasn't in 1974 when they made Benji.
We accepted it and thought it was fine.
Oh, my gosh. Horrible acting. You had it was such filler with the montages of Benji playing with his friends or Benji walking through the town or whatever.
Trying to find his way home.
It was, apparently they took a 22-minute sitcom and they had to build it out to 90 minutes to justify a feature film.
Well, you can only get a dog to do so much. You're going to have to get him walking down the street and running through a field. And
a few other distracting things. Benji had a love interest in this movie.
Did they show him?
It was a little white Pekingese or something or another.
Did they have a Joe Dirt-like scene where the dog's...
Her name was Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
And...
looked like Benji?
Well before it was fashionable, Tiffany, the female dog, had a penis. So that's pretty progressive for 1974.
They showed a male dog and called it a female?
Yes! Tried to pass that off as a female dog, which, once again,
well, maybe
if
that was
indeed
the way
it
they
identified
went.
as such, I do want to give it props,
So you're saying Benji was gay?
In that movie, he was involved with a transgender female.
Dog.
Yes. A transgender female.
Courage.
The other thing is, there's a thing that they do in movies and such is that even if the dog is male in a movie, they cast a female dog. Have you heard of that?
No.
Yes. That's very common.
Easier to work with?
I have a note on this. Hang on.
No, Jared, do you know this?
Able to find this note.
I have heard that, yes.
Do you know why?
Avocados? That's just a placeholder. I'll find out.
You can get back with me. That's fine. Close. Think more eggplant.
Emoji?
Correct.
What?
Because they cast female dogs because they don't have any distracting anatomy for the movie camera, the film camera.
Yeah.
And you don't get distracted by that.
Yeah, I have a dog that's not been fixed as a male, and it's distracting.
You should have
sometimes.
cast a female in that dog's role. Because go back and watch Benji. Because Benji was the John Holmes of dogs in the early 70s. And it's